So let me be clear. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the Securities Exchange Commission. And you should not want to be the first SEC chair to receive a congressional subpoena.
Gary Gensler, head of the SEC, just got grilled in Congress today. Here are the hottest clips. And just understand the frustration by both Democrats and Republicans alike, both sides. The frustration that Gary Gensler's lack of clarity on how to regulate crypto in the US is stifling the United States, is stifling crypto adoption. And in this first clip of 5, Gary Gensler can't even answer simple questions.
You've made comments on this. You believe Bitcoin is not a security. Is that true?
Well, I think the staff of the SEC have also, and the prior chair.
I'm just asking you this question, and this is not a gotcha. I thought this was going to be an easy softball into harder questions. Do you think Bitcoin is a security?
No, I think I've said this in the past that I think that it doesn't
I'm asking you
meet the
to
Howey
answer
test.
my question now. This is not supposed to be hard.
I know. I said it
Just
does
to
not meet the Howey test, which is the
Okay.
law of the land about being an
So
investment
it doesn't meet the
contract or
Howey test.
security.
So therefore, it's a commodity. Is that fair?
I would say it's not a security, and then the test is otherwise for other laws.
And did you notice? Someone photobombed Gary with the Coinbase Stand with Crypto shield, sort of the 2023 version of the viral moment we saw back in 2017 of Buy Bitcoin behind the Honorable Janet Yellen. And most of you have seen already this viral clip of Gary Gensler back in 2018 when he was a teacher at MIT saying Ethereum and others are not securities.
Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Why did I name those 4? They're not securities.
Well, which Gary Gensler should the public believe?
I'm confused at which Gary Gensler, the American public, should believe. The academic version, who spoke glowingly about the power of technology to help more investors participate in U.S. and global capital markets, or the SEC version, who apparently thinks all use of any technology by broker-dealers and investment advisors is inherently conflicted, and firms should just stop using technology altogether. Chair Gensler, could you please briefly explain this change in your views?
I thank you for the question, a clever question. It's the same Gary Gensler. It's not my identical twin brother Rob or anything. It's me.
And how about this? If I were to purchase a tokenized Pokemon card, which they have now, that's real, on a digital exchange via a blockchain, is that a security transaction?
Suppose I were to purchase a Pokemon card. Would doing so constitute a security transaction?
You could purchase a Pokemon card. I don't know what the context is, but if you're just purchasing a Pokemon card.
If I purchase a Pokemon card, is that a security
retail
transaction?
Store, that's not a security.
Okay. If I were to purchase a tokenized Pokemon card on a digital exchange via a blockchain, is that a security transaction?
I'd have to know more.
Okay. So for you, the process of tokenization is what transforms a non-security transaction into a security transaction?
Look, if the investing
I thought you were technology neutral.
If the investing public is anticipating profits based upon the efforts of others and they're exchanging funds, that's the...
And it started so much worse. Gary Gensler can't name a court ruling that supports his entire theory on the case on crypto.
In August, there were 6 law professors from law schools as preeminent as Yale who came to the following conclusion, quote, "No decision of the Supreme Court has ever found that a scheme that does not involve a contract could qualify as an investment contract." And so do you disagree with that statement? And if so, could you please cite a decision of the Supreme Court that has found an investment contract in the absence of an actual contract?
The SEC has been in front of multiple courts, and investment contract has been...
What's the name of the case, Mr. Gensler? The Supreme Court case that has found an investment contract in the absence of an actual contract. Do you have the name? Can you cite a case?
The SEC over the decades, whether it's...
Can you cite a case?
Whether it's whiskey caskets, whether it's crypto, if the public is investing based upon the efforts of others...
I find it telling that you cannot cite a single case.
That's a security.
Not a single... How about a Second Circuit case? Can you cite a single Second Circuit case that found an investment contract in the absence of a contract.
I understand where you're trying to go, and I'm going to leave that to the very fine attorneys at the SEC in front of courts. But I'm saying the core principle
Mr. Gensler,
this is a field.
This is let me finish. This is a question to which you should know the answer, because the definition of an investment contract is the central issue. That's what determines the extent of your authority. That's what determines the applicability of federal securities law to crypto transactions. And your inability to answer that question is baffling to me.
And of course, a brand new clip of U.S. Congressman Tom Emmer, not to be confused with the clip we shared with you a few days ago. But in this new clip, U.S. Congressman slams the SEC Chair Gary Gensler for attacking crypto.
Do you believe the vast majority of digital assets meet the investment contract test and are therefore securities operating illegally outside of the U.S. regulatory umbrella?
As I've said, many of these assets are basically the public is anticipating
Sir, is
profits
that a yes?
based on the efforts of others.
Is the answer then yes?
Again, without prejudging anyone, I do think that the significant
Reclaiming my
majority
time.
are
I'll take it as a
investment
yes.
contracts.
And to be clear, sir, this perspective has nothing to do with a concern you noted in a speech last year where you said, quote, "Over the past year, several bank executives have shared their concerns with me about the sheer number of depositors who have moved money from their bank accounts into crypto-related exchanges and wallets," end quote. Right?
The concern that those bank executives raised was that there's
Again, I'm reclaiming my time,
customers
sir.
were getting
No,
hurt.
I've asked you to answer the questions as short as I can so I can use the time I have, and it's clear that you would like to avoid answering the questions, in my opinion. An Obama-appointed judge in the Southern District of New York, a bank-friendly jurisdiction where you bring most of your cases, recently found that decentralized financial technology, quote, not only removes the so-called middlemen from these transactions, but it also allows users to interact through a variety of methods in an easy and efficient manner, end quote. The court also said underwriters, like the ones at banks where you work, sir, are, quote, precisely the types of individual roles that decentralized exchanges were designed to eliminate, end quote. Mr. Gensler, can you assure this committee that your style of regulation by harassment towards digital asset innovation is to the benefit of every American and not driven by your desires to protect industry incumbents?
This is a field that's rife with fraud and manipulation, and I'm looking out for the American investors who've been hurt by the crypto.
Yeah. I'll reclaim my time. Mr. Gensler, despite your years of rhetoric, like today, I'm convinced you are not an impartial regulator. Instead, it's clear that you are working to consolidate your own power, even though it means crushing opportunities for everyday Americans and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Even the federal courts are highlighting the damage you, sir, are doing to our constituents, and they're telling you that you don't have the legal authority to accomplish your goal of squashing competition in the financial markets. Congress has been telling you that too. Now, Mr. Gensler, I believe our great financial system is the definition of freedom in this country, and congressional policies must provide room for the traditional financial system to evolve alongside the disruptive digital asset ecosystem. That said, it cannot be understated that a common theme throughout your career, sir, is your relentless loyalty to the largest financial institutions at the clear expense of innovation, competition, and everyday Americans. I yield back.
I suspect some large financial institutions would not agree with that.
There's no question, sir.
And yes, the SEC is responsible for the spot Bitcoin ETF approval or delay. We just got another delay, but in this final clip that's possibly going the most viral, Congress pushes Gary Gensler hard on his FTX connections.
You refuse to be transparent with Congress regarding your interactions with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. That's the investigation we started last Congress. Finally, your lack of responsiveness to this committee's legitimate oversight continues to be unacceptable. And I want to finish here. In February, the committee made multiple requests for documents to the Securities Exchange Commission. This is normal congressional oversight. Yet 7 months later, the committee has not received a single non-public document that was not part of a FOIA production. As I said, our patience is wearing thin. The SEC is not above the law, nor is it unique. Other financial regulators have routinely complied with congressional oversight. So let me be clear. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the Securities Exchange Commission. And you should not want to be the first SEC chair to receive a congressional subpoena. Either we find a path forward where the SEC recognizes Congress as a co-equal branch of government and is responsive to our oversight duties, or my option is to issue a subpoena. It's time for you to consider the lasting consequences of your actions, and what that means to the Securities Exchange Commission's reputation long term. While your time in this role may be temporary, the repercussions for your actions may be permanent for the agency.
And it's so interesting because, again, it's not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's a United States issue that Gary Gensler is stifling crypto innovation in this country. 2 Democrat and 2 Republican members of the House Financial Services Committee just told Gary Gensler to approve the Bitcoin ETFs. There is no reason that the United States citizens shouldn't have access to these financial products. And as if in response, around the same time, the SEC then delayed another spot Bitcoin ETF decision. And what's crazy is they had until November to make that decision. Usually they wait until the final day, at least the final week. But yesterday, as if to send a message, the SEC again delays their decision on the ARK Bitcoin ETF filing. The SEC made the call this week, even though it wasn't required to issue a decision until November 11.
So all that said, if you were in the chair today, would you have approved it?
Well, look, I'm not there, and I'm not going to have that kind of, I do this, he would do that. What I have said is, as this has developed, it is clear that Bitcoin is not a security. It is clear that Bitcoin is something that retail investors want access to, that institutional investors want access to. And importantly, some of our most trusted providers who are fiduciaries or have duties of best interest want to provide this product to the retail public. So I think, as Anthony said, an approval isn't inevitable. The dichotomy between a futures product and a cash product can't go on forever. And so I think that's the path we're on.
So what's your assessment then of what Chair Gensler is doing? Why, if everybody in the industry is saying it's inevitable and he's just going to look for ways to reject the applications when there's a futures ETF already on the market, what's the point here?
Well, let me say this. We'll give them time. There's a roughly 45-day time period, both in the D.C. Circuit and on the deferral of these applications. In the relative scheme of things, and I think Anthony was he didn't say this directly, but in the relative scheme of things, 45 days is a short amount of time. And I do expect that we'll have progress on this going forward.
This is an ongoing story. For daily updates keeping you informed about crypto, click subscribe. You do not want to miss a video.